with Pure Movement Pilates Studio, and today we'll be on the mat working on really releasing and restoring our bodies. So, laying completely flat, legs out long, arms down to our side, palms facing up or down, kind of whatever feels comfortable for you. And I always like to start with our breath. So take a moment, close your eyes, be here in the moment, and begin inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And just quiet your breath. Quiet your mind. And start to notice any sensations in the body. Is there any part of the body that feels warm or cold, feels tight, or maybe a little bit loose? Just make a mental note of how you feel. So much about Pilates is about body awareness and just understanding what's going on in my body. What do I feel? And one more big breath in through the nose. Let it all go out through the mouth. And we'll take our legs to a bent position, so knees bent and our feet flat on the mat, about hip width apart, but whatever really feels comfortable for you. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about low bone density. So that would be anything like osteoporosis, osteopenia. If you have any of those, I will provide some modifications for you as we go. All right, so we'll just start with some gentle pelvic clocks. Tilting the pelvis down towards the knees and peeling it back towards our waist. We'll start just in this direction first. So imagine you have a clock on your pelvis and your navel is 12 o'clock and the pubic bone is 6 o'clock. So we're just moving on this axis from 12 to 6. We're not necessarily lifting quite yet like we would in a bridge, but we're just kind of rocking on our sacrum back and forth. One more here. Then you'll come back to neutral. Okay, so a lot of times we talk about neutral. It's that in-between position of that posterior and anterior tilt, which we were just in. All right, now we're going to go side to side. So now imagining that really the hip bones are going down into the mat. Then let the legs move a little bit at first. Us we don't allow ourselves to kind of do what is not right to figure out what is right. Okay, so I like to let us kind of find our greatest range of motion and then scale it back a little bit to try to better understand how can we improve the movement. So now we're working on the 3 to 9 axis. Good, and over time it's really going to be as much as you can without really a lot of leg movement side to side. Good, one more time here. Keeping the breath flowing, come back to neutral. Now we combine the two, so into our true pelvic clock. So I want you to peel back towards your navel, over to the right, down, and over to the left. Okay, so again, let the legs kind of go for a little while. Just kind of feel how this is. Give yourself permission to kind of let the legs move and to not be perfect right now. And then I want you to try a couple where you're just moving the pelvis as much as you can with really little movement of the legs. Good, one more time in this direction. Come back to neutral. Readjust your shoulders or anything if you feel like you're getting a little bit tight. And then we'll reverse it. So you peel back towards the navel, 12 o'clock. And now we go to the left down through the middle, over to the right. Again, allowing the legs to kind of glide with you. And then we'll let the pelvis be the driver. Good, one more all the way around. And then come back to neutral. You're gonna hug the knees to the chest, and then we're just gonna kind of roll side to side. So again, right now, you're literally doing exactly kind of what we just did on the side to side portion, so the 3 and 9. We've just got our legs up. And so a lot of times we do the pelvic clocks or the pelvic tilts in different positions. A lot of times in our movement, we just don't always realize it. All right, you're gonna take your hands down to your side. Keep your legs at tabletop. So we're just gonna keep the legs at tabletop. Now imagine you have a pool of water down below. You're gonna keep the leg in its exact position. Take the right leg and just tap the toe down, bring it back up to 90, and then tap the left. So reciprocal leg movements. Inhale to tap, exhale to draw it back in. And a lot of times we want to breathe really, really heavy when we're doing something that's maybe not really, really challenging. So let the breath match the demand of the activity. So the harder you're working, the more you should be breathing. And the less you're working, you can breathe a little bit more quietly. Good. One more each side. So making it even. Keeping the legs back at tabletop. Now we're going to go both legs together. Inhale down, exhale back up. Good. So kind of warming up the abdomen. Last one here. And then you can let your feet hit the mat. And let's take our knees side to side. Opening up the spine a little bit. You can always look in the opposite direction that the knees are going to get a little bit of a bigger stretch. One more time, each side. Good, coming back to our neutral. Now we're gonna take the right arm up overhead, reaching it long, keep it straight, and then bring it back down to the side, and then switch. Left arm back, and up and overhead. So the biggest thing here is you can go as far as you can as long as the body position doesn't change. So what happens a lot of times is the ribs want to pop out and kind of flare. So as long as that's not happening, you're fine to go all the way down to the other end of the floor with your hand, as long as the body position doesn't change. And this is one of my favorite exercises for just really opening up the shoulders. Our shoulders, our neck, sometimes you just feel so tight. And this is just something that's pretty simple, but actually does a lot. Good. One more time each side. And then back down with the left. Now we'll take both hands together, reaching up and over. Again, noticing kind of those ribs, making sure that the pelvis is still neutral. So don't let that pelvis tip forward or back. And then all the way back down. Good. We're going to keep our legs down here. And now, without really changing a lot of the upper body, you're going to take both legs to the right. So let it just rotate over. You can take the arms out to your side if that feels good. So you're taking both knees over to your right. And again, you're keeping that, try to keep that left shoulder blade down. It's going to be a little bit challenging. It's going to want to lift a little bit. And again, if you have any low bone density, try to avoid any end range rotation, okay? So you wouldn't go till your last possible moment, okay? So probably not all the way down to the floor, a little bit before. Good. And then we'll go to the other side. Now I'm going to move my foam roller out of the way. So do whatever you need to do. And just kind of notice, does one side feel like a little bit more tight than the other? I can definitely tell you that on this side, it's harder for me to get to this position. Good. Over back to the right. And over to the left. And then we'll come back with legs to tabletop. So we're going to do the same thing, but now we're just changing the lever a little bit. So with ease and with control, you're going to have feet together, knees together, and then you take them over to the right. Again, low bone density. Avoid that end range of rotation, and see if you can go all the way down. Good. Breathing here. With zipping up the abdominal wall, bring the legs back over to the left. Try to keep that right shoulder down. And keep breathing here. Good. We're going to go one more time each side. With ease, legs over to the right. And I don't know about you, but anything with rotation or kind of twisting of the spine feels so good to me. I feel like we don't do it really that much unless we're doing Pilates. So it's always pretty refreshing. Good. Over to the left with those legs. And if you have any pain of any sort, just lighten up a little bit, so don't go as far. And you can kind of keep the movement going, so you keep going right to left, if that feels better. And then all the way back to tabletop. We're going to just hug the knees to the chest. You can do some femur circles here, so you can let the legs open as you bring the knees around. Or you could do this keeping the knees together, so more like a pelvic clock. Good. Reverse the direction if you're doing this. Just opening up those hips. Very similar to feet and straps. Good. One more time here. And you're going to keep your hands on your knees, and then if you can, kind of push your feet or your legs into your hands and start to roll up to seated. So it's going to take me a little bit. There we go. All right. And then you always got to see, oh, my hair, it's really poofy now. You know, that's how it goes. Okay. So we will turn, face each other or wherever for our mermaid. I'm going to start with my left leg in front. So if you'd like to do that so we can kind of have the same cues and all of that, that would be great. All right. So biggest thing with mermaid, everybody looks good. You want to always make sure that you're really vertical. So say if I was like this from my natural position, I would probably want to sit up on something to make me more vertical in my spine. So just a pro tip there. Okay, left hand is down. We're going to start with it a little bit closer to the body, reaching the right arm up and over, really focusing on that side bend. Good. And kind of just flowing through this. Let the arm come back down, and then over and reaching over. Good. Yep, so again, low bone density, avoid that end range, and then when we do rotation, you're probably gonna want to avoid the rotation piece. Okay, so you can kind of keep flowing through it like this. Good. One more time here. And then we'll take a counter stretch, so right hand down, left arm reaches up and over, And you can kind of keep flowing through that. And try not to let the whole body collapse forward, okay? So stay up nice and tall, but we're still getting over and side bending, letting those left ribs open. Good. Okay. So again, low bone density, you're going to avoid this part. You can kind of keep flowing through what we just did. But everybody else, you're going to take both hands and turn to your left and place them out. So this would be like we were on the reformer, okay? So we're just going to do a little bit of curling down and then curling up into our extensions or little swan. So it's almost like, feel like you're pushing the mat away and then bringing the mat in closer without actually doing that. And when we get into our extension or kind of arcing of the upper spine, make sure that your head's not going all the way up to the ceiling. So we want to avoid hyperextension of the cervical spine, but just keep it kind of in line with the body. Good. All right, you're going to do one more and then come all the way back up. We'll take that left hand a little bit further away from us now, okay? And we've reached the right arm up and over, and now we thread the right arm through and reach to the other side of the mat. So just take a minute here, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Can you breathe deeper into your ribs, the back of your ribs? Good. Increasing that stretch. So try to push with the left hand, pull with the right. Good. Untwist. Letting it all go. Now I love to do this, so see if you can switch your legs without your hands. All right. Good. Nice, everybody. All right. I don't know what my hair looks like. We'll just forget about that. It's not about what matters. Okay. So right hand is down, closer to your body. And just right away, make sure you're vertical. Okay. Sit on something if you need to. And just kind of check in with this position just by itself. You know, am I a little tighter on this side? Okay. So just, again, body awareness, knowing kind of what's going on in the body. Taking the left hand up and over. And I'm letting my right arm bend a little bit. So that helps me to get into greater side bending. A lot of times what we see is if the hand's out really long, we do more of like a plank. And we really want to see a lot of curl through this right side body. Good. So keep flowing through that. And it's an easy breath. But I'm already sweating, so maybe you gotta breathe a little bit more. Good, one more time here. And then we take that counter stretch, so you can kind of hold it here and take a few breaths, or you could just kind of keep flowing through it. Whatever feels kind of good for you. One more time here. And if you have low bone density, you're going to stay with those two positions. Everybody else, both hands to the right. And reach out a little bit long, kind of curling, sending the sit bones back, and then arching the upper spine. Good. So just kind of free flowing through this. Doesn't have to be a big movement. So just kind of listen to your body. It's still very early. And if you're like me, this is really the first thing you've done today. So just be gentle on yourself. One more time here. And then bringing it all back to center. And then taking that right hand a little further away. We reach the left arm up and over and thread the arm through. And it's okay if you have a little bit of bent elbow in the right arm. You can try to straighten it, see how that changes the stretch a little bit. Just keep that right sit bone heavy. And keep breathing here. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. And we'll untwist. We'll turn. We're going to have our legs out long in front of us, and we're going to stay seated. So I keep my legs together. All right. So low bone density, you're going to do more of a hinge, so a flat back, okay? Everybody else, we're going to have our arms out in front of us, and if you have low bone density, arms can be out too. So everybody else will start to flex the spine, so send the spine back, curling forward, and then reaching over the toes. So you should feel this in the hamstrings. And then flex the feet if you want a little bit of a bit bigger stretch. Good, and then slowly rolling back up. Good. 2 more times like that. So start to kind of curl over, so don't lean back, but curl over, and then lean more forward. Keep curling. Keep sending the navel back to the wall behind you. Flex the feet if that's available to you. And then rolling back up. Good. 1 more time like that. Curling over, reaching long. Flex the feet if it's available. And all the way back up. Good. Let your hands hit the mat for a second. Just take a moment. You can shrug the shoulders a little bit. And now we're going to join the low bone density people by going with the hinge. So this will be even more on the hamstrings. So arms are out straight again. And then you just hinge forward. Good. Keeping the back flat. And then sit up nice and tall. Good. 2 more times. Hinging forward. And back up. Good. 1 more here. Forward and back. Good. All right, so the next one, you'll take your legs out to the edges of the mat. So kind of the mat's width apart. All right. If this doesn't feel as comfortable, so I like to do this where I make a little diamond with my legs. Helps me to sit up more vertical, okay? So we'll be in a vertical position, sitting up nice and tall, arms out to a T, and then we're just going to do a little bit of rotation. So again, low bone density, avoiding that end range of the rotation. And we're just kind of opening up the shoulders and getting a spine twist, which is what it's called. So that makes sense. All right, and relax down to your side. We're gonna do one of my favorite exercises. It's not really, I would say, release and restore as much. So if you don't want to do it and you also have low bone density, you can go to a child's pose, and then we'll meet back at the next exercise. But it's called rolling, and it's really just fun. So I like to just throw it in sometimes every once in a while. So what you do is you sit up nice and tall again. You bring your knees really close into your chest, okay? And you take your hands and bring them around your legs. All right. So then you're really literally just rolling back and then rolling back up and rolling back and rolling back up. And you'll see if you can try to get back up to upright. And the biggest thing is that we don't want to really slam into our heads or anything. You might touch your head, but it could just be a little tap and then back up. Yep. So it's just kind of fun. It feels kind of good actually on the spine too. And you can always kind of straighten out your legs if the curled position is too much, you'll just do like 3 more. And just keep that spine in flexion 1 more time. Good. All right.